Hey everyone, welcome back to the lab. In this video, we're going to be reading how to find fulfilling work as a software engineer and achieve more impact with less stress. So in 2022, I was living my dream. A senior software engineer at Meta, Instagram, making great money and building systems impacting billions of people around the world. It was my dream job, working with smart, supportive team members on a product I loved. And yet, I wasn't happy. I was restless, bored, and irritable. I had low energy, no excitement, and I felt pretty hopeless. Like I was going through the motions, but it was all just empty. So I quit my dream job at Instagram, which kicked off a 1.5-year journey of reflection and discovery from software engineering to entrepreneurship and back to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Now, 1.5 years later, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited about projects again, I'm building more and better projects than ever, and I'm having a lot of fun along the way. I've been reflecting a lot to more precisely identify what worked and what didn't so that I can be mindful and intentional about avoiding those mistakes in the future. So here I'm going to share my main takeaway from this journey for finding and engaging in work that's fulfilling short and long term. Finding fulfilling work. The first question we have to answer is, what is fulfilling work? The answer is going to be different for everyone, as we all have our own values. But I think there is a simple system that can help us answer this for most people. To get there, we need to change the question to what makes work fulfilling. Then we can work up from that foundation with your own values to figure out what work that actually is. The answer to this question, in my experience, is essentially something that fulfills the hedgehog principle. What this means is something that the world wants and will pay for. And this part's important because it's how you prove that the world actually wants this thing. And it's also like pretty key to sustaining yourself in capitalist society. So this is necessary. Something that you're good at and something that you're interested in. And I think if you do something that has all of these things, then it's going to work both short term to your unfair advantages, but also long term because you're going to do way better at these things with less effort on your part, especially compared to the rest of the fields who, you're going to be unique in what these things are that you're uniquely suited for. And so that's how we're kind of achieving this, like less work on your part, but more results, but you're also going to be enjoying the process more along the way. And long term, if you keep doing that, you're going to outperform everyone else who is not doing things that they're uniquely suited for. And so at Instagram, I was doing something the world wanted and something that I was good at, but I was no longer interested in the work. I had done the same thing for about 3 years, wasn't that excited about the problem area anymore, and I wasn't being challenged or growing as an engineer anymore. So over time, I became unsatisfied and unfulfilled. And I think this is another good thing to point out is like what you are uniquely suited for in like one phase of your life may not be the same thing after a few years because you kind of change. And I think this is what makes this such a powerful razor is that it cuts out things that you're not uniquely suited for, but it's also a way to judge like, am I still doing something that I'm uniquely suited for? Or has that actually changed over time? And so it kind of keeps you from getting in like this stagnant state from just doing what you've always done. Now, this principle may seem overly simple, but it is a very powerful razor as it easily cuts out a lot of options. And really the only principles that are useful or even worth remembering are those ones that actually narrow our problem space or our opportunity space by quite a bit. And truly, if the work you're doing doesn't fulfill each of these, then you're not doing something you're uniquely suited for. This means you're spending more effort to get less results. And there are certainly other options out there that would allow you to do less work and get more results while enjoying the process along the way. And I will call out like this idea that you're doing something you're not uniquely suited for, I think is actually the average. Like a lot of people do this, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's very common, but it's like you're working uphill. Like you're just maybe not doing something that is going to feel freeing. So, if it's not something you're interested in, you're going to have low energy and you're going to not do that much work because you don't like this thing. If you're not good at it, you can put in a lot of work, but like you just won't be able to achieve as much as someone who's just like better at this thing or uniquely suited for it. And if it's not something the world wants and will pay for, then you're going to do a lot of work and get zero reward, and you can't really support yourself doing this. And so you got to like split your time away from it. And so when we, focus on the things that actually fulfill these things, it will go from feeling like working uphill to working like downhill. And so it's like, this doesn't mean that the work doesn't exist. Like it's still effort, it's still work, but it's like you are now going much faster, much further for the same amount of work than you would if you were doing something you're not suited for. The other big thing that people kind of push back on this is the idea that there are better options. And I would say that the problem will not be that you can't find something like this. The problem, like once you start looking for these things, the problem is usually that, oh, now that I know what to look for, there's actually a lot of these things that fulfill this stuff, even though most people are like doing things that don't fulfill this. Once you're looking at this, there's a lot of them. And so the problem is going to be, how do I choose between these, not do these exist? So this should really be like the bare minimum of what you're willing to do, to be honest. Anyway, that's my hot take. Next. So going forward, I'm applying this principle to all the projects I take on, from projects at work to side projects I do for fun. I found it very helpful for doing more things I enjoy, so I enjoy the journey more. But anecdotally, it's also led to much higher impact on these projects I take on, and way less effort and stress on my part. So by doing this and enjoying it, I'm now, instead of working uphill, I'm working downhill. And so everything just goes much smoother, much better. So if you like this post, you might also like my journey from software engineer to entrepreneur and back again. You can also look at Stop Wasting Your Time on Bad Startup Ideas, some razors I use for determining if an idea is good or bad early on. And you might be interested in 3 tips to be an effective software engineer with less work and more fun, which goes more into principles that I've used and that I recommend to other engineers, especially junior and mid-level engineers, to be more effective and honestly enjoy their job a bit more. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.